So today, I, Anupama Pandit Saxena, will be discussing with you this very serious and relevant topic, that is the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985 along with its amendments, which is also a very important unit of Criminal Law Semester 2nd, paper FSHT 201. In Module 5, we will be discussing the important sections of the NDPS Act 1985, in which we will further discuss the authorities and officers, National Fund for Control of Drug Abuse, Prohibition, Control and Regulation, Offences and Penalties, Procedure. In Module 6, Criticism and Conclusion will be discussed. In this module, we will be dealing with important chapters and sections only. Starting from chapter 1, it is important to remember that Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act, according to section 1, extends to the whole of India, and it applies also to all citizens of India, outside India, to all persons on ships and aircrafts registered in India, wherever they may be. Section 2 deals with definitions. In section 2.1, addict means a person who has dependence on any narcotic drugs or psychotropic substance. Section 8A defines essential narcotic drugs, which means a narcotic drug notified by the central government for medical and scientific use. Section 2.14 defines narcotic drugs, which means coca leaf, cannabis hemp, opium, poppy straw, and includes all manufactured drug. Section 2.23 defines psychotropic substances, which means any substance, natural or synthetic, or any natural material, or any salt or preparation of such substance or material included in the list of psychotropic substances is specified in schedule. Other than these relevant definitions, this section of the Act defines all the technical terms used in the Act, like cannabis hemp, coca leaf, opium, etc., which is explained in their botanical sense as well as according to their use. Chapter 2 of the Act deals with authorities and officers. Section 4. Central Government Measures for Preventing and Combating Abuse of and Illicit Traffic in Narcotic Drugs, etc. It says that the central government shall take all such measures as it deems necessary or expedient for the purpose of preventing and combating abuse of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances and the illicit traffic therein, and for ensuring their medical and scientific use. The central government may constitute an authority or a hierarchy of authorities under this section. Section 5. Officers of Central Government. This section provides that the central government shall appoint a narcotics commissioner and other officers. Section 6. The Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substance Consultative Committee. The central government may constitute an advisory committee to be called the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Consultative Committee to advise the central government. Section 7. Officer of State Government. Now let's move on to chapter 2A. It provides for National Fund for Control of Drug Abuse. Section 7A. National Fund for Control of Drug Abuse. Subsection 1 of this section provides that the central government may, by notification in the official gazette, constitute a fund to be called the National Fund for Control of Drug Abuse, and there shall be credited Thereto, number 1, an amount which the central government may, after due appropriation made by Parliament by law in this behalf, provide the sale proceeds of any property forfeited under Chapter 5A, any grant that may be made by any person or institution, any income from investment of the amount credited to the fund under the aforesaid provision, that the fund shall be applied by the central government to meet the expenditure incurred in connection with the measures taken for A. Combating illicit traffic in narcotic drugs, psychotropic substances or controlled substances. B. Controlling the abuse of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. C. Identifying, treating, rehabilitating addicts. D. Preventing drug abuse. E. Educating public against drug abuse. Supplying drugs to addicts where such supply is a medical necessity. Section 7B provides that the central government shall, as soon as may be, after the end of each financial year, cause to be published in the official gazette a report giving an account of the activities financed under Section 7A during the financial year, together with the statement of accounts. This third chapter lays out the prohibition, control and regulation of various narcotic drugs and other psychotropic substances. Let's take a look into the important section of this chapter. Section 8 provides for prohibition of certain operations. It says, no person shall cultivate any coca plant or gather any portion of coca plant, or cultivate the opium poppy or any cannabis plant, or produce, manufacture, possess, sell, purchase, transport, warehouse, use, consume, import interstate, export interstate, import into India, export from India, or transship any narcotic drug or psychotropic substance except for the medical or scientific purposes, and that too in the manner and provisions and requirements by way of license, permit or authorization. The next important section is Section 8A, which provides for prohibition of certain activities relating to property derived from offense. This section imposes certain prohibitions to convert or transfer or conceal or disguise the true nature, source, location, disposition of any property, or to knowingly acquire, possess or use any property derived from an offense committed under this Act. Section 9, Power of Central Government to permit, control and regulate. Under this section, central government is empowered to make rules to permit and regulate the cultivation, gathering, production, manufacturing, possession, sale, purchase, transport, import interstate, export interstate, use or consumption, etc. of various narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. This section also provides various terms and conditions for giving license relating to activities regarding narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. The next section is Section 9A. In this section, the central government is given the power to control and regulate controlled substances. Under Section 10, power of the state government to permit, control and regulate is given. Section 11, narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances, etc., not to liable to distress or attachment. Section 12 provides for the restrictions over external dealing in the narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. Under Section 13 is special provisions relating to coca plant and coca leaves for use in the preparation of flavoring agent are given. The power in this section lies with the central government. Section 14, special provision relating to cannabis. This provision says that the government allow cultivation of any cannabis plant for industrial purposes only, of obtaining fibers or seed, or for horticulture purposes. Chapter 4 deals with the offences and penalties. This chapter contains section from 15 to 40. With the help of a chart, we will discuss the main provisions relating to the offences and penalties under the NDPS Act. The chart is divided in 3 portions. In first portion, I will be discussing offences. In second portion, the penalty for the offence is given, and in the third portion, the related section is given. For the offence of cultivation of opium, cannabis or coca plants without license, the penalty is rigorous imprisonment up to 10 years plus fine up to ₹1 lakh. The related sections are for opium, section 18C, for cannabis, section 40, and for coca, section 16. The next offence is embezzlement of opium by licensed farmer, for which the penalty is rigorous imprisonment 10 to 20 years plus fine of ₹1 to 2 lakhs regardless of the quantity. The related section is section 19. The next offence is production, manufacture, possession, sale, purchase, transport, import interstate, export interstate, or use of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substance. The penalty for which is, for small quantity, rigorous imprisonment up to 6 months or fine up to 10,000 or both. More than small quantity but less than commercial quantity, rigorous imprisonment up to 10 years plus fine up to ₹1 lakh. For commercial quantity, rigorous imprisonment from 10 to 20 years plus fine, which can be extended from 1 to 2 lakhs. The related sections of the acts are for prepared opium, section 17, opium 18, cannabis section 20, manufactured drug or their preparation section 21, for psychotropic substance section 22. The next offence is import, export or transshipment of narcotic drugs and psychotropic substances. For small quantity, the punishment is rigorous imprisonment up to 6 months or fine up to ₹10,000 or both. More than small quantity but less than commercial quantity, the penalty is rigorous imprisonment up to 10 years plus fine of ₹1 lakh. For commercial quantity, the penalty is rigorous imprisonment 10 to 20 years plus fine 1 to 2 lakhs. The related section is section 23. The next offence is external dealing in NDPS, that is engaging in or controlling trade whereby drugs are obtained from outside India and supplied to a person outside India. The penalty is rigorous imprisonment 10 to 20 years plus fine of ₹1 to 2 lakh regardless the quantity. Related section is section 24. Next offence is knowingly allowing one's premises to be used for committing an offence. The penalty is same as for the offence, section 25. Violation pertaining to controlled substances. Penalty is rigorous imprisonment up to 10 years plus fine ₹1 to 2 lakh. Related section 25A. The offence of financing traffic and harboring offender. Penalty rigorous imprisonment 10 to 20 years plus fine ₹1 to 2 lakh. Related section 27A. Attempts, abatement and criminal conspiracy. Penalty same as for the offence. Related section for attempts section 28, for abatement and criminal conspiracy section 29. Preparation to commit an offence. Penalty: half the punishment for the offense. Related section 30. Repeat offense: 1.5 times the punishment for the offense, and death penalty in some cases. Related sections are section 31 for death penalty, section 31A. The next offense is consumption of drugs. The penalty is for cocaine, morphine, heroin, rigorous imprisonment up to 1 year or fine up to rupees 20,000 or both. For other drugs, imprisonment up to 6 months or fine up to 10,000 or both. Addicts volunteering for treatment enjoy immunity from prosecution. Related section, section 27. For immunity, section 64A. The next offense is punishment for violations not elsewhere specified. The penalty is imprisonment up to 6 months or fine or both. Related section is section 32. Section 36 of this chapter provides for the constitution of special court. Now let's move on to chapter 5, which deals with the procedure. This chapter contains sections from 41 to 68. The main highlights of this chapter are mentioned as follows. Number 1, personal search. Any person being searched has a right to be searched before a gazetted officer or a magistrate under section 50. The officer searching the person has to explain to the person that he has a right to be searched before a gazetted officer or a magistrate, and if the person wishes to be searched before a gazetted officer or a magistrate, he should be taken to the gazetted officer or the magistrate and searched according to section 50 subsection 4. Section 50 subsection 4 says that no female shall be searched by anyone excepting a female. As per section 50 subsection 5 and section 50 subsection 6, if the officer has reason to believe that it is not possible to take him to a gazetted officer or a magistrate without giving him a chance to part with the drugs, controlled substances, etc., he can search him under section 100 of CRPC. Now, other searches. As per section 41 of the NDPS Act, gazetted officer of the empowered departments can authorize searches. Such authorization has to be based on information taken down in writing, and as per section 42, searches can be made under certain circumstances without a warrant from a magistrate or an authorization from a gazetted officer. In case of such searches, the officer has to send a copy of the information taken in writing or the grounds of his belief to his immediate official superior within 72 hours. Now let's deal with arrest. The person who is arrested should be informed as soon as may be the grounds of his arrest, says section 52(1). If the arrest or seizure is based on warrant issued by a magistrate, the person or the seized article should be forwarded to that magistrate, says section 52 subsection 2. The officer who arrests a person has to make a full report of his official superior within 48 hours according to section 57. Now let's deal with the immunities for drug offences. Officers. Officers acting in discharge of their duties in good faith under the Act are immune from suits, prosecution and other legal proceedings according to section 69. Addicts. Addicts charged with consumption of drugs under section 27 or with offences involving small quantities will be immune from prosecution if they volunteer for de-addiction. This immunity may be withdrawn if the addict does not undergo complete treatment according to section 64A. Immunities of offenders. Central or state government can tender immunity to an offender in order to obtain his evidence in the case. This immunity is granted by the government and not by the court, according to section 64. Now the immunity of juvenile offenders. Juvenile offenders below 18 years of age will be governed by the Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2000. Immunities to the diplomates are also applicable. The Act was criticized on the following grounds. Number 1. Same provisions for soft and hard drugs. Number 2. It is said to be the one of the harshest law in the country due to the provision of capital punishment. Number 3. It does not support the idea to shun drugs, not addicts. It criminalizes drug use, whereas people who are addicted to drugs need medical care, not jail. The importance of the Act is evident from the appreciation of the Supreme Court of India in the case of Duran DDR versus Chief Secretary, Union Territory of Goa, AIR 1989, Supreme Court 1966, in which the highest court of India recognized the wisdom of Parliament in enacting the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act 1985. To conclude, we can say, while there definitely are some flaws that can be worked on, the statute had an impact on the modern Indian society and is very important to save our present and future generations. With all this information, we come to the end of today's lecture. Now that you all have a fair idea about NDPS Act and also about the ill effects of drug abuse, I am sure that you will keep yourself away from illegal drugs. So be healthy and safe. Do remember what we have discussed today. It's time for you all to do some self-study. This is Anupama Pandit Saxena signing off. If you want to learn more and enhance your knowledge, you may log on to our website for MCQ, quizzes, LOR. The website is www.cec.nic.in.